and I'm Maria Shakil. The Election Commission today censured BJP leader Dilip Ghosh and Congress's Supriya Shrinate for derogatory remarks against the dignity of women. The commission said that it is convinced that they made a low-level personal attack and thus violated the provisions of the Model Code of Conduct. A copy of the warning notice or censure has also been marked to their respective party chiefs for sensitizing their functionaries to be careful while communicating in public domain and refrain from any such derogatory comments and violations of Model Code of Conduct. Remember, a controversial comment was posted on social media platforms from Ms. Shrinate's accounts against Bollywood actor Kangana Ranaut, who has been fielded by the BJP as its candidate from Mandi in Himachal Pradesh in the upcoming Lok Sabha polls. Today, the BJP urged the Election Commission to take strictest action against Congress leader Rahul Gandhi for the quote-unquote match-fixing remarks and other comments he made during an India bloc rally a day ago. A BJP delegation comprising of Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri and the party's National General Secretary Arun Kumar lodged the complaint against Rahul Gandhi with the poll panel. The BJP says that the former Congress chief's comments during the public meeting were extremely objectionable as they are not just in violation of the Model Code of Conduct but could have serious implications. With the first phase of elections just 2 weeks ago and the election heat only building up, the question is, how low will the discourse go and can the netas mind their language?
वो भारत जोड़ने यात्रा गए, उनकी जो वो अलायंस है, क्या नाम है, इंडी या घमंडी अलायंस, वो टूटती जा रही है, कई पार्टियां उनको छोड़ गई हैं, तो फ्रस्ट्रेशन एक तरफ, पर एक रिकॉग्नाइज्ड पॉलिटिकल पार्टी अपने ऑफिशियल हैंडल से ऐसी बात करे या उनके जो नेता हैं वो ऐसे आरोप लगाए जो बिल्कुल विदाउट बेसिस हैं। हमने इलेक्शन कमीशन के सामने ये बात रखी और हमने उनसे कहा कि ये नोटिस वाली बात नहीं है, इस पे तो अब सख्त कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
We had submitted a complaint regarding a BJP candidate who had made some astonishingly horrendous remarks on the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal. She also happens to be the only woman Chief Minister in the country. Yes, we understand and appreciate that the Election Commission is paying special focus this time to enrolling more women voters and getting more women to vote. But is it Nari Shakti when a sitting candidate of the BJP makes such a horrendous comment, questioning the ancestry of one sitting woman CM, and he's let off with just a slap on the wrist?
Joining me on the show, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Bhavya representing the Congress, and Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist. Tuhin Sinha, this is a reflection on all political parties. It's not just about the Congress or the BJP, because leaders across party lines have been making comments which are undignified. For all the talks that your party has been doing of Nari Shakti, women-led development, women leading this, women leading that, what about ensuring that no such comments are made against women, as is being highlighted by the Trinamool Congress?
Well, good evening, Maria. I completely agree with you on that. Decency of language should be maintained by all political parties, and all political parties should refrain from misogynistic remarks and from making personal attacks. Now, when it comes to Supriya Shrinate's, comments or maybe her insinuation against Kangana Ranaut, that was of a different nature altogether, where she cast aspersions not just on the character of Kangana Ranaut, but also, besmirched the reputation of a holy city called Mandi. So I think, the gravity of the Congress offences over here are far more. In fact, yesterday, two things which Rahul Gandhi said are particularly incriminating, and the Election Commission should ideally take note of such comments also, when he says, BJP जीतेगी तो पूरे देश में आग लग जाएगा. Was that a warning? Was that a kind of precautionary? I think Rahul Gandhi has a lot to answer on that. And again, comments like match fixing of elections. Is he trying to besmirch the reputation of constitutional institutions of this country, constitutional bodies of this country? So I think the Congress needs to be watchful. Having said that, it applies to every political party, and everybody should maintain decency of language.
Okay. Yes, Bhavya, did the former Congress president go overboard it's one thing to make a point about institutions like most on the dais did during the course of that rally, but to say that desh mein aag lag jayegi, is that really going overboard, a kind of rhetorical pitch which is best avoidable?
I don't see any name calling here. When he said match fix, he's speaking about all unconstitutional methods that today's Narendra Modi government is using with the desperation to win elections. That is what he was implying, correct? And coming to name,
you are raising questions and creating doubt on the entire electoral process. There is one institution, the Election Commission of India, which is conducting polls.
That's because when you see the case of electoral bonds, the way among the five top contributors to BJP through electoral bonds, 3 of them had IT raids days before they contributed. That on one side, 2 sitting chief ministers are arrested days before EC announces the election date. There are so many such instances that it shows that they are trying to meddling with the elections, and they freeze our accounts, Congress accounts, official accounts. This is not how a ruling party should be behaving. This is just their desperation of losing that they're doing this. Okay. When he said match fixing, he was referring to these methods that BJP is using with
Tuheen, a quick response from you, and then I bring in Neerja.
Maria, match fixing is not when a corrupt person like Arvind Kejriwal gets arrested. Match fixing is when the Congress party, who Arvind Kejriwal has leveled some of the worst allegations of corruption throughout, and the Congress party, which was the first to file a police complaint on the liquor gate, is going out of its way to support Arvind Kejriwal. I think that is match fixing. This is the level to which Congress has stooped today to support corrupt and corruption activities.
Okay. Neerja Chaudhary.
Can I please answer that?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Bhavya.
Yeah. So when did Congress made this allegation, and why
2 years ago?
2 years ago, and you took 2 years and just before election to arrest Arvind Kejriwal?
Are you trying to say that your stand changes every 2 years?
Do you think this is too good to be a coincidence? To arrest him too,
like 3 days before. Maria, you are from Bihar. You know how many years the Chara Ghotala dragged on to.
Neerja, the question here is, who is going overboard, and can the politicians really mind their language? Or are you of the opinion, like most of us, that in the heat of the moment, it's about winning or losing, and hence just about everything is allowed? Sadly, though. Neerja.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The election season is here, bang on, when we hear these kind of words. And it probably will get worse as we go into the campaigning in the coming weeks. But it is, I agree with you. I mean, whether it was Supriya, Shrinate, of course she went back. If she said it, she disassociated herself from it and said somebody else would have done it, used her account. So it's not that she endorsed what was being said. So that was a good thing. Dilip Ghosh also completely uncalled for. Now, match fixing, if the Congress party wants to make the point that elections are not, there is not a level playing field for the opposition as far as the elections go, which is the point they were making. Whether it was electoral bonds, which the Supreme Court has given its view on, whether it is arrest of Kejriwal in the midst of elections, after the election campaign is on and notified, whether that's a thing to do. Now, certainly the opposition has a right to express its views. Now, Rahul Gandhi, when I heard yesterday also that word, aag lag jayegi, that word aag, I said, oh, now certainly the BJP is going to pick on this one. Those kind of things are, have to be measured, very carefully articulated, because you are making very serious allegations, whether it's from one side to the other or this side to the other side. So, but this is really, Maria, every election season, we go over this again and again and again, and yet parties flout it. This has to use measured language, something that doesn't cross the Lakshman Rekha, it's for the political parties to decide, and also the election commission to take a view on.
And are you of the opinion that is too much to expect from them, perhaps as well?
You know,
Because,
we've come
you know,
to-
it doesn't really surprise us anymore, Neerja, as political journalists, when we hear this kind of discourse, unfortunately.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. It doesn't surprise us. And as I said, I'm sort of prepared, you know, it's going to get worse rather than better. It's a sad thing to say, but it is reality.
Then buck stops with whom? We cannot really say election commission if the, if the political party is just make it about winning or losing, and they realize that the sharper or the shriller their language is, the more traction it will get, the more it will be about people sitting up and listening to it.
That's also, you know, as far as the Janta is concerned. You know, to get eyeballs, you feel you've got to attack hard and not necessarily in what is called the parliamentary language. That's sad.
You know,
so
election
many
after
ways of
election, while we talk about other political parties, and I have been talking about also the Congress, the BJP is equally responsible. Dilip Ghosh in these elections is just the beginning, I would say. And that's again a very undignified comment against a woman chief minister.
So, Maria, there was a show cause notice immediately served to Dilip Ghosh. He was asked to explain his behavior. So, BJP had immediately made it known that such comments will not be tolerated. I think it is the Congress which has, you know, by the latest count, has hurled some 103 abuses against the Prime Minister over a period of 15, 16 years, and which keep increasing every time, sometimes to his father, sometimes to his mother. I think the Congress needs to introspect more. Did the Congress issue a show cause notice to Supriya Shrinate? How can her Instagram be hacked, and how can multiple people be having access to it anyway? I think the Congress should tell your viewers what action or what preventive action has been taken so that Supriya Shrinate does not repeat this kind of behavior.
Okay. Bhavya, will you respond? That BJP takes action against its party men. Of course, they did against Dilip Ghosh. What about your party action against Supriya Shrinate?
So I know Supriya ma'am personally, correct? She heads the social media department of Congress party at the national level. And she's one of the very staunch feminists. And I do not believe she did it from her account. And she never
No, it's not about whether you believe it or not as an individual, Bhavya. What did the Congress party do?
But we will find out who did it, and we will let you know what action will be taken against them. But she was very clearly, she has stated that her account, many people have access to her account. She didn't say it was hacked. Two, when it comes to name calling, let's remember when it all started. And how, you know, when you're talking about the dignity of women and even other people in politics, men or women, when the Prime Minister calls the opposition, the topmost leader of the opposition as Jersey cow, or Congress ki vidwa, or another woman as 50 crore ki girlfriend, or addresses a sitting chief minister in West Bengal as, you know, like some cat calling on street, he says Didi or Didi in his public rally.
Yes,
Don't
but
you think he
I'm
brought
not
down
saying
the
that two
dignity
wrongs
of
make
the
a right,
PM
Bhavya.
And sometimes the PM should set a standard to other politicians of this
Yes,
country.
two wrongs do not make a
behaving in
right.
that way.
And I have just enough time for
Of course it
Neerja.
doesn't make it right. I'm
Neerja,
telling you, Supriya ma'am has given it very clearly.
Yeah,
She's
she may
made
have
it very
said,
clear.
just as Dilip Ghosh, but what action has been taken is the question that I asked. Just as the BJP took action against Dilip Ghosh, what action has the Congress taken against Supriya Shrinate? Yes, go ahead, Neerja, 30 seconds.
No, very quickly, yes. I think Supriya Shrinate should have found out, should have investigated. If she did not do it, who did it? Because that comment was totally uncalled for against a woman, Kangana Ranaut, in that case, in this instance. And certainly I agree with that. The Prime Minister of India, Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Kharge, they are the ones who need to set the standard.
Yes.
And make sure that party men and women don't
A
use
red
this.
line or a Lakshman Rekha has to be drawn, and who will be drawing that remains to be seen. Thank you so much for joining us, Tuhin Sinha, Bhavya, and Neerja. Shifting focus to another story now. A tiny barren island of Katchatheevu on the Pak Straits between India and Sri Lanka is at the center of a sharp and high voltage political exchange in election season. I spoke to the former Attorney General, Mukul Rohatgi. Listen in to what he told me. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to NDTV. Sir, on 26th of August 2014, while you were representing the centre as Attorney General, you had told the Supreme Court bench, which was led by Chief Justice of India then, R.M. Lodha, that if you want Katchatheevu back, you will have to go to war to get it back. This was the stand in 2014. Now it has become a political talking point.
See, Maria, before I respond, it is necessary to see the historical background. It appears that this island, which is about 30 kilometers from Rameshwaram, was a part of India. It is virtually at our doorstep, though it is uninhabited. And it's a sizable island of about 250-300 acres. Now, it appears that in the year 1974, the then Congress government led by Mr Gandhi, under an agreement, for what reason I do not know or is apparent, it appears that the island was handed over to Sri Lanka. Now, why was it handed over? Was it necessary? What did we get in return? Are questions which the then government or the current dispensation of Congress should answer. Why was a territory which belonged to this country given away? Normally, you have territory exchanges. We have had exchanges with Pakistan in the past. In 1958, 1960, we had some exchanges with Pakistan because that was an aftermath of partition. That is understandable. It was called the Berubari case, where some exchanges took place. I remember some years ago also, the current government also had some exchanges of certain enclaves between India and Bangladesh or something like that. So some give and take of territory can certainly happen. But in this case, it appears to me that there was no give and take, it was only give. Now it is obvious that every citizen of India is entitled to know why was territory of India ceded away, why was it given away? And as any Indian would say, the territory should not be given away at all. The second aspect is the legality. Now the Constitution of India provides that India will have certain boundaries of states. And if those boundaries have to be altered, and in this case it will mean that boundary of Tamil Nadu, with which this island was so-called attached in one sense, or was the territory of Tamil Nadu, was given away. So the boundary of Tamil Nadu gets altered. When the boundary of Tamil Nadu gets altered, the Constitution provides that the amended boundaries have to be brought in line in the Constitution, which requires an amendment to the Constitution, which means that it has to be ratified by both houses of Parliament. And also, if the boundary of a particular state gets altered, in this case Tamil Nadu, then the wishes of the assembly of that state have also to be kept in view and respected. It appears that in 1974, when this was done, the wishes of the state, etc., were not taken, the Constitution was not amended, and this was followed by the emergency. So emergency, as you know, rights were suspended, nobody knew what was happening, everything was in the dark, and the matter never went to for the views of the House. In fact, Mrs. Jayalalitha raised an issue on this in the Supreme Court. To the best of my recollection, the matter is still pending in the Supreme Court as to whether this agreement was valid by which we have ceded certain areas of the nation to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Now that it was very strategic is clear because it involves fishing waters. For our fishermen, there is a constant, as you see in the newspapers every day, there is a constant struggle between Indian fishermen and the Navy in Sri Lanka. They are catching and arresting our people, attaching our boats, etc., etc. Because our people can't go to the island now, and because it's only 30 kilometers away. So it was a disastrous kind of a move. What I said in the Supreme Court was that if you have ceded some land to another nation under an agreement, how do you get it back? Even if the Supreme Court says that the agreement was invalid, that doesn't bind the other sovereign nation. Why will they give it back? So you can get it back either by negotiation. If that happens, that would be lovely. But I don't think there is much chance of, a negotiation by which you get your land back. If that doesn't happen, how else do you get it back? You can try it by force. The moment you try it by force, it leads to aggression. And that's a very, very significant step.
Okay.
After having first given it 50 years ago, then you say, no, it was wrongly given, then you wait, get
Mr.
it back.
Rodgi, what is the status of that petition, if I may ask?
Madam, that petition is still pending. I just had it checked from my office. Those petitions are still pending. They haven't been decided.
Okay. There is this, a document which has been put out by the political opponents of this government, and I want you to tell me, because as the law officer, you would be privy to a lot more details than what we know about, sir. It says that as per the RTI response in 2015, when the current foreign minister was serving as the foreign secretary, it was said this did not involve either acquiring or ceding of territory belonging to India, since the area in question had never been demarcated. And under the agreements, the island of Katchatheevu lies on the Sri Lankan side of the India-Sri Lanka maritime international boundary line. And today the foreign minister and yesterday the prime minister has been talking about that it was ceded. So what exactly is the status, sir? You would be privy to those documents.
No, madam, very frankly, I am not privy to these documents of what you have mentioned about the RTI, but a very simple thing arises in my mind. If it was already a part of Sri Lanka, then why did we have to have an agreement by which we say it has become yours? Unless and until it is ours, only then we can give something. Unless I own something, I can't give it to you. So I don't think it is entirely correct to say that the island belonged to Sri Lanka or wasn't their line or their side, etc. It seems to me that it was very much a part of India and it was ceded for no visible gains to India. That seems to be the position from whatever I have read, because it happened in 1974. We were not privy to those kind of things.
Okay, Mr. Rodgi, because just some time back we were speaking to the first petitioner in this case who filed the petition in 1974, that was Brij Khandelwal, and he was talking about how, of course, at that time there was emergency and all the fundamental rights of every individual was suspended. Then what really is the future of petition which is there at present before the Supreme Court? Can it be expedited? Can it be fast-tracked?
No, madam, of course it can be. It can be. If it was already a part of Sri Lanka, then why did we have to have an agreement by which we say it has become yours? Unless and until it is ours, only then we can give something. Unless I own something, I can't give it to you. So I don't think it is entirely correct to say that the island belonged to Sri Lanka or wasn't their line or their side, etc. It seems to me that it was very much a part of India and it was ceded for no visible gains to India. That seems to be the position from whatever I have read, because it happened in 1974. We were not privy to those kind of things.
Okay, Mr. Rodgi, because just some time back we were speaking to the first petitioner in this case who filed the petition in 1974, that was Brij Khandelwal, and he was talking about how, of course, at that time there was emergency and all the fundamental rights of every individual was suspended. Then what really is the future of petition which is there at present before the Supreme Court? Can it be expedited? Can it be fast-tracked?
No, madam, of course it can be. It can be